that's an interesting issue you're bringing up because there's this dialogue going on now with regards to what is paramount in leadership. Is it integrity first, or is it your capacity to deliver? And from what you just said to us, if there's no integrity, there's no way, even if you have the capacity to deliver, you can't deliver. So bringing it to the national level, how do you think Nigeria can move forward? We are not talking about the senatorial now, we're taking it up. The economy has taken a hit because there was a drop in the oil of price. That was nobody foresaw that. We think things have gotten bottomed out. It can only go up from this point. Now, we need people that have the proficiency to deliver. But if they don't have integrity and accountability, do we have a chance?
We need leaders of the highest level of integrity. You cannot, that's something we should not negotiate in this country. We need leaders that understand that they lead on behalf of the people. You are representing a group of people. You're not representing yourself. And so if every day you say you are representing somebody, and for 16 years you drive along the road and you find that those roads, unless you have a big Prado Jeep, you can't move through those roads. You find that the women, and I'm telling you this from experience because I've gone from one community to the other. Women in the villages are telling us they can't even bring their products. So they even if you support them to invest in agriculture, at the end of the day, there are no vehicles to move their products out of the farms because the transportation business is not, I mean, the transport, or if you like, all those buses that they use in some of these communities don't want to go into the hinterland because of no access road. Now, what this tells me is that something is wrong. If I am a leader and I come to my community every 4 years and I want them to vote for me, and I know that my community, example, Aniri local government, that one of the things they produce most is rice. They have the capacity to produce rice, but you can't even give them tractor. You can't give them even one single milling industry or a cottage industry where they can go to and process this rice when they finish producing it. Then there's something wrong. And I can tell you that within the Aniri local government, the feedback we're getting is nothing has happened. Yes, we can see a few roads going into Mpu. But the problem is that these are people whose livelihood depends on farming. And we should be thinking of what can we do different to make farming easy for these people. What can we do different to make them earn money from farming? What can we do different to make sure that the rural men and women who spend their daily lives trying to eke out a living from farming can actually transform their lives? And this is what a leader should be thinking. You should wake up and sleep thinking of what can I do different?
Could it be that before now it was business as usual, and it's also a good thing that our economy took a hit because we had oil money and nobody was looking inwards, that people like you are propelled to champion the cause of the masses? Because I mean, before now they will think that you have to have a lot of money to go into politics.
That's true.
But now people are speaking up.
That's true.
People realize that it's the people that's the government because they are the ones that are sending you.
Yes. So let me say this, that Nigerians are becoming very conscious of the fact that they can vote out somebody. This used not to be the case. And let me tell you why that is changing. The electoral system is changing. The electoral laws have changed.
How has it changed?
What has changed is that it's no longer about writing results. Okay. You will agree with me that from 1999 to 2015, people will, on election day, some of these leaders will just go to their house and write the results, take security, lock out everybody else. By 5 o'clock, they'll release a result that doesn't reflect what you and I voted for. And what that led to was apathy among Nigerians, loss of confidence in the electoral process. What the President Buhari administration have succeeded in doing is raising the bar, trying to build the confidence of our people in the electoral system. And that is why people are moving out to register to get their voters card. See the number of people that have just registered between 2015 and 2019. It means that about 15 million, if I'm correct.
Okay.
What that means is that Nigerians are conscious of the fact that they can use their vote and make a difference. And that is what we are going to show in Enugu State. That will be the difference in many states for 2019 election.
So if you have 60 seconds to talk to your constituency and to encapsulate all your manifesto and campaign promises and everything, what will you say to them?
Let me tell you what we've done. As we move from one community to the other, we've started what we call town hall meetings.
Okay.
And we ask them, give us 4 things that will come top on your priority needs if
Fantastic.
I come into office. And what I hear from our people is, please, we want our young people to be employed. They are all unemployed. Some have spent 5 years, 6 years, 3 years. They are all riding Okada. Some of them die doing so. They don't have any source of income. I want to be part of a government, both at the state and at the federal level, that can build industries, no matter how small. Those industries will be used for processing of things that we can bring out from our farms. Okay. Something like cassava, that turn it into gari, enough that you can sell it. Turn rice. We have rice in Enugu State. We have communities that can, in fact, Ezago, I was there last week, and they told me they can produce enough to feed Enugu State, but they don't have access road. They don't have equipment. They don't have any encouragement from government. Please help us. And I will tell you this, I'm going to do this once I get into office. The next thing they've said to me is, could you help us with the roads? And that goes back to the access issues that we're talking about. Some have talked about community hospitals, schools. There are no teachers in the schools. Even when government managed to put up schools and you don't have teachers, what are you doing?
Even the quality of teachers counts.
Yes. So in as much as I'm not running for an executive position, I'm going to take a bipartisan approach where I work with the state government and the federal government from day one to make sure if we can get 50% of the communities in Enugu West in a way that we can create access roads for farms, because the farms are already there. I'm not doing any magic for them. If we can begin to address youth unemployment, let's even say to ourselves, maybe we have 20% today. Can we bring it down to 10% by the time we finish 4 years?
You've been hinting on youth,
yeah.
And youth consists about 60% of our population.
And that is one of the greatest problems we have in Nigeria.
And the youths are heavily into entertainment. So can you guarantee us that when you get to the Senate, you will be among those that work on a bill to produce some form of support for the entertainment industry, just like they did for agriculture, so that through Bank of Industry, someone that has a track record in Nollywood or in the music industry can access a loan, yeah, without being encumbered by long protocols.
Without you telling me this, if I am interested in youth empowerment, we're interested in creating jobs, we're going to look at every avenue through which we can support youth. And I want to add quickly, for the past 10 years, I've run a foundation called JC Ibekaku Project. That foundation has supported young people. In fact, half of them are either out of school because we provided scholarship and they were able to go to secondary schools, they were able to go to universities. We've taken kids out of very poor homes and we've put them in schools. I don't have to advertise this every day in the newspaper.
Yes.
I don't. What I want to see is that I look at somebody and I've been able to make a difference in that person's lives. And so having a position that enables me to do more, I will assure Nigeria youth, I will assure Enugu West youth that they've seen somebody who is going to stand side by side with them and make sure that their problems become my problem and we'll find the solutions together.
Interesting. I like the passion. Some people say that women are very deep and emotional because everybody had a mother. And when a mother is around and the children have issues, it affects her and she goes out of her way to solve it. So beyond the issue of youth employment, what other areas, like for the elderly, is there any plan for them? The elderly people in the village, they might not be a big chunk, but everybody's involved.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we talked about making farming easy for them, making it less burdensome. The reason why our people, because most of the communities or local governments in Enugu West are all, they all live on farming.
They're predominantly farmers.
Yes. And so what we need to do is, how do we make it easier for them to farm? How do we make it possible for them to earn better income from farming? How do we make it possible for us to grow the economy of Enugu West Zone just from agriculture? And you just mentioned earlier on that federal governments have invested so much on agriculture. So for example, Anambra State, suddenly Anambra State can produce rice in enough quantities.
True.
Abakaliki is doing the same. We can do the same here. Imagine if we do it well. That will transform the economy of this state automatically. Let me also tell you, we have a place in Enugu called 9th Mile.
Yes.
That is another hub, which is under my constituency. A place that has not been exploited at all. The opportunity for investment there is mind-boggling. And yet, neither our senator or our House of Representative members, or, I'm sorry to say, have even thought it wise to say, how do we bring in investors into this place? It doesn't need any legislation. You just need to sit down with the communities and the state government and say, we can do this. And it's the commitment and the will. And this is where you begin to impact on the lives of whether ordinary, the young people, the elderly, because many of them take their products from the farms and they go to that 9th Mile market to sell it. In that place, you have what we call
like a triangle.
Yes, you have people from different parts of this country. They bring in goods. They bring in yams from the north. They bring in cassava from the villages. They bring in onions and tomatoes from Benue. So that place is a hub that we haven't even begun to think about. And based on my discussion with the people from Ngwo, where 9th Mile is situated, they want to see a modern market there. They want to see it as a hub for industrial growth. They also want to see us, because already federal government has approved a free export processing zone at 9th Mile. For almost more than 6-7 years now, nobody has actually started to implement that particular agreement with the federal government. And so it's something I'm keen on taking on. And I know that when we do so, just by doing that, you would affect the lives of so many people around that area.
What I hear you say in a nutshell is that it's not business as usual again.
It will not be.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
We look forward to congratulating you after the election.